Hello and welcome. I am Pranay Upadhyay and you are watching Namaste World, your daily window into the biggest stories shaping India and the world. We begin in America. Syrian President Ahmed al-Sharaa enters the White House through a side door, signaling a cautious yet historic diplomatic shift. In Southeast Asia, Thailand halts US-brokered peace deal with Cambodia after fresh landmine blast reignites border tensions. Across the border in Pakistan, a suicide car blast took place outside Islamabad court, killing 12, injuring dozens and prompting heightened security across Pakistani capital. Back in the South Asia, Bangladesh's campuses erupt in song protest as students defy Yunus government's ban on music and PT teachings. And the biggest story of the day, Prime Minister Narendra Modi vows justice after the deadly Red Fort blast, promising zero tolerance against terrorism and its backers. All that and more, global flashpoints, power plays and the stories that matters, coming up in this edition of Namaste World. In a strong and resolute response to Monday's car bomb blast near Delhi's iconic Red Fort that claimed 10 lives and injured 24 people, India has made it clear that the perpetrators and their backers will face the full might of the state. Speaking from Bhutan during his ongoing state visit, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said, and I quote, "I come here today with a heavy heart. That horrific incident that occurred in Delhi yesterday evening has deeply saddened everyone. I understand the grief of the affected families. The entire nation stands with them today. I was in contact throughout last night with all the agencies investigating the incident. Our agencies will get to the bottom of this conspiracy. Those behind it will not be spared." During an event in Delhi, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh also stated firmly that those responsible for the tragedy will be brought to justice and will not be spared under any circumstances. The blast comes months after Operation Sindoor, India's precise counter-terrorism strike across the border that neutralized several terror launch pads and a subsequent India-Pakistan conflict of May 2025. The National Investigating Agency has registered a case under the UAPA and a high-level probe is underway with NSG forensic teams at the site. The Government of India has reiterated its zero-tolerance policy toward terrorism in all its forms. This is a developing story and we will continue to bring you all the updates. Let's hear in to what Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Defence Minister Rajnath Singh said after the Delhi bomb blast.
इस महत्वपूर्ण अवसर पर शामिल होना भारत का और मेरा कमिटमेंट था, लेकिन आज मैं यहां बहुत भारी मन से आया हूं। कल शाम दिल्ली में हुई भयावह घटना ने सभी के मन को व्यथित कर दिया है। मैं पीड़ित परिवारों का दुख समझता हूं। आज पूरा देश उनके साथ खड़ा है। मैं कल रात भर इस घटना की जांच में जुटी सभी एजेंसियों के साथ, सभी महत्वपूर्ण लोगों के साथ संपर्क में था, विचार विमर्श चलता था, जानकारियों के तार जोड़े जा रहे थे। हमारी एजेंसियां इस षड्यंत्र की तह तक जाएगी। इसके पीछे के षड्यंत्रकारियों को बख्शा नहीं जाएगा। All those responsible will be brought to justice.
First and foremost, I extend my heartfelt condolences to all those who lost their lives in the tragic incident that occurred in Delhi yesterday. I pray to God to grant strength and solace to the bereaved families in this hour of deep grief. From this platform, I wish to assure my citizens that the country's leading investigative agencies are conducting a swift and thorough inquiry into the incident. The findings of the investigation will soon be made public. I want to formally assure the nation that those responsible for this tragedy will be brought to the justice and will not be spared under any circumstances.
A devastating suicide car bomb explosion outside the Islamabad court complex in the G11 area has claimed at least 12 lives and injured 27 others on Tuesday afternoon. Authorities have confirmed that it was a targeted suicide attack. The bomber detonated the vehicle near the entrance after reportedly failing to enter the premises. According to reports, most victims are lawyers, litigants, and passerbys caught in the blast during the peak court hours. The explosion shattered vehicles, sent shockwaves miles away, and triggered chaos in the area. Pakistani Interior Minister Mohsin Naqvi has vowed a swift investigation, with no group yet claiming the responsibility. This rare strike in the heavily secured capital comes just a day after the deadly car bomb near Delhi's Red Fort. Security has been heightened across Islamabad. We are tracking this story and will update you with more details. Syrian President Ahmed al-Sharaa's quiet arrival at the White House marks a stunning diplomatic turnaround for a man once branded a terrorist. With sanctions eased and Washington signaling a shift in West Asia, has America just found its newest ally in Damascus? Here is a report by Debangana Datta.
A side door, not the front entrance. That tells you everything. Syrian President Ahmed al-Sharaa arrived at the White House on Monday through the West Executive Avenue, a side entrance adjacent to the main building. No flags lining the driveway, no cameras capturing the handshake at the door, no fanfare. This was not an insult, it was protocol. Foreign leaders, recognized heads of state, enter through the West Wing driveway, the ceremonial entrance reserved for official visits. Al-Sharaa did not get that because he's Syria's interim president, not yet fully recognized under international protocol. But what happened inside the Oval Office matters far more than which door he used. For the first time since Syria's independence in 1946, a Syrian leader met with an American president in the White House. The closed-door talks focused on strengthening bilateral ties, regional security cooperation, and Syria's expected entry into the US-led coalition against ISIS. The results were immediate. Minutes after the meeting ended, the US Treasury announced a 180-day extension of Caesar Act sanctions relief. The Caesar Act, imposed in 2019 over human rights abuses under Assad, had imposed sweeping sanctions that crippled Syria's economy and cut the country off from global markets. Lifting them is essential for Syria's reconstruction, estimated at over $200 billion. Trump praised al-Sharaa afterwards, calling him a tough guy from a tough place.
I've had an agreement with him. He's a very strong leader. He comes from a very tough place, and he's a tough guy. I liked him. I get along with him, the new president of Syria. And we'll do everything we can to make Syria successful, because that's part of the Middle East. We have peace now in the Middle East, first time that anyone can remember that ever happening. Syria is a very big part of the Middle East, very important part. If you look back at Syria for years, they had the doctors, the lawyers, they had so many of the great intellects. It's an amazing place with great people, and we want to see Syria be successful along with the rest of the Middle East. So I have confidence that he'll be able to do the job, absolutely.
But there's more at play here. Syria's warming ties with Washington could signal a broader realignment in West Asia, potentially expanding the Abraham Accords framework that normalized relations between Israel and the Arab states. This is a stunning transformation. Less than a year ago, al-Sharaa had a $10 million US bounty on his head. He was designated a global terrorist with ties to Al-Qaeda. He spent time in US prisons in Iraq. Now he's sitting in the Oval Office, having broken from Al-Qaeda in 2016 and reinvented himself as Syria's moderate leader after toppling Bashar al-Assad last December. The side door was protocol, the Oval Office meeting was strategy. Syria is realigning, away from Iran and Russia, towards Turkey, the Gulf and Washington. As al-Sharaa left, he stepped out of his motorcade to greet cheering supporters waving Syrian flags. The message: Syria's decades of isolation are ending, and America is betting on the former militant they once hunted. With Debagna Datta, Bureau Report, India Today Global.
Tensions are flaring again along the Thai-Cambodian border after a landmine blast injuring 2 Thai soldiers, prompting Bangkok to freeze a US-brokered peace deal. It says Cambodia has violated. The fragile truce, once hailed as a diplomatic win for President Donald Trump, now lies in doubt. Was this peace deal ever built to last? Here is a report by Farhan Khan.
Thailand has put the brakes on a United States brokered peace deal with Cambodia after a landmine explosion near the border injured 2 Thai soldiers. Prime Minister Anutin Charnvirakul said the truce could not move forward because, in his words, hostility towards our national security has not decreased. Thailand feels Cambodia is not sticking to the spirit of the deal. Now here's where it gets interesting. This ceasefire was one of the much publicized peace deals that US President Donald Trump proudly showcased, often claiming he was solving global conflicts with quick negotiations and handshakes. But this latest development highlights a big problem with many of those deals. They were rushed, superficial, and did not actually address the deeper causes of conflict. Thailand and Cambodia have a long-running territorial dispute along their shared border. In July, the situation escalated into 5 days of clashes that killed at least 43 people and displaced more than 300,000 civilians. Under pressure, the two sides eventually signed a ceasefire on the sidelines of the 2025 ASEAN summit in Malaysia, where Malaysia acted as mediator and the US took credit for pushing the deal forward. But the ceasefire came with conditions. Thailand and Cambodia were supposed to release captured soldiers, remove heavy weapons from the border zone, and most importantly, clear landmines. That last point is crucial because the border area is heavily mined from decades of conflict. Fast forward to now, Thailand says a new mine exploded in Sisaket province, injuring 2 of its soldiers. The Thai government believes the mine may have been newly laid, accusing Cambodia of violating the ceasefire. Cambodia, for its part, denies everything and insists that it has followed the agreement and wants Thailand to release the 18 Cambodian soldiers still held in Thai custody. So the result? Thailand has suspended the release of Cambodian soldiers and paused all ceasefire actions. Essentially, the peace deal has stalled, tension is back, and trust is gone. This shows the core issue critics have pointed out regarding Trump's diplomatic style. Yes, he was able to push quick agreements, but many of these agreements did not resolve the underlying disputes. They often created short-term calm, like putting a bandage on a deep wound. The Thai-Cambodian deal looked like another diplomatic win, but without addressing the century-old land dispute, border management issues, and mistrust between the armies. A paper agreement was never going to hold. Experts now say what's needed is not another rushed truce, but a comprehensive and carefully negotiated settlement that deals with the root of the problem. Otherwise, flare-ups like this will continue. With Farhan Khan, Bureau Report, India Today Global.
In Dhaka, protest songs are echoing louder than sermons. Students and teachers across Bangladesh are defying the Muhammad Yunus government's move to ban music and PT teacher posts after threats from Islamic groups. What began as a cultural protest now questions Bangladesh's soul. Is the nation losing its rhythm to fear? Here is a report by Shaurik Saha.
In Dhaka this week, songs turned into slogans. Across Bangladesh's top universities, students and teachers have taken to the streets not for pay, not for politics, but for something far more fundamental: culture. Because the Muhammad Yunus government, yes, the same so-called interim regime that came to power after Sheikh Hasina's fall, has just cancelled plans to hire music and physical education teachers in primary schools. The reason? Threats from Islamist groups who called such subjects un-Islamic. At the University of Dhaka, students gathered under the iconic Opora Jeo Bangla, the very symbol of Bangladesh spirit, singing the national anthem in defiance. From Chittagong to Rajshahi, from Jagannath to Dhaka, campuses echoed with protest songs, their message being clear: you can silence music in schools, but not in the hearts of Bangladeshis. Culture never opposes religion, said theatre professor Israfil Shahin. Art is the foundation of civilization, added music teacher Azizur Rahman Tuhin. But apparently, the Yunus government disagrees. Because instead of standing up to religious hardliners, it bowed down. Groups like Hifazat-e-Islam and Islami Andolan Bangladesh demanded religious teachers be hired instead, and the government obeyed. The Ministry of Primary and Mass Education claims this was an administrative decision, that hiring a few teachers wasn't feasible. But let's be honest, this isn't about logistics, it's about appeasement. A government too weak to stand up to extremists, too desperate to hold on to power.
2025 সালে এসে এত ডাইভার্স একটা কান্ট্রিতে আমরা বসবাস করছি এবং সেই জায়গাটাতে আমাদের সঙ্গীতের মতো একটা বিষয়কে আমাদের প্রাথমিক শিক্ষা থেকে বঞ্চিত করা হয়েছে এবং সেই দাবিতে আজকে আমাদের এখানে একত্রিত হতে হয়েছে। আমাদের জন্য আরো দুঃখজনক যে সঙ্গীত বিষয়টাকে শুধু একটা বিনোদনের মাধ্যম হিসেবে এখন আমাদের বাংলাদেশে অনেক জনগণ এই বিষয়টাকে দেখে। কিন্তু আমরা জানি এবং আমরা যারা সঙ্গীত নিয়ে পড়াশোনা করছি, সঙ্গীত শুধু একটা বিনোদনের মাধ্যম না, সঙ্গীত শুধু ভালো লাগার বিষয় না, সঙ্গীত অধ্যয়নের বিষয়। আমাদের বাংলাদেশের প্রত্যেকটা পাবলিক এবং প্রাইভেট ইউনিভার্সিটিগুলোতে সঙ্গীত একটা ফ্যাকাল্টি হিসেবে বিবেচ্য। আপনারা যদি বাংলাদেশের বাইরে যেও দেখেন, আপনারা দেখবেন বহির্বিশ্বে প্রত্যেকটা টপ র্যাঙ্ক ইউনিভার্সিটিতে মিউজিক ইটসেলফ ইজ আ ফ্যাকাল্টি।
Singer Shayan, who joined protests at Jagannath University, said it best. There's a group trying to pit music and religion against each other. Don't fall into the trap. Respond with songs. But this is bigger than just music or PT classes. It's about the direction Bangladesh is headed. A nation once born out of cultural revolution, now letting religious pressure dictate education policy. Critics say the Yunus administration is going soft on Islamist groups that helped it consolidate control after Hasina's fall. The same groups that have now called for banning ISKCON, labeling it as extremist. For now, Bangladesh's young voices are making themselves heard once again through protest, through passion and through music. Because in their words, culture never opposes religion, but without culture, a nation loses its song. With Saurik Saha, Bureau Report, India Today Global.
As we wrap up today's show, here is a quick look at the top stories making waves around the world. The US Senate approves deal to end America's longest government shutdown, restoring funding and averting further economic chaos. Taiwan evacuates over 3,000 as Typhoon Fenghuang approaches, bringing heavy rains and strong winds after a deadly floods in September. At least 31 inmates killed in Ecuador's prison riots as gang violence and chaos grip the nation's jails once again. And as we end this edition of Namaste World, let's listen in to what US Ambassador Designate to India Sergio Gore had to say about India-US diplomatic ties.
You were in India last month. You met with a lot of people. You also met with Prime Minister Narendra Modi. How was that interaction?
It was incredible. I'd been to India before, maybe about 10, 15 years ago, and loved visiting India back then as a tourist. And now coming back as our ambassador was absolutely incredible. And there's a reason they call it Incredible India. Meeting with the Prime Minister and his hospitality was amazing. So I'm very much looking forward to being there very early in January.
You're also going as an envoy to all the regions. You'll be based in New Delhi. How do you see this role for you?
Look, I think the president pointed out correctly that for too long in previous administration, this area of the world did not get the attention that it deserves. And so one of the things the president wants to do is to make sure they have a direct line to the White House. And so India will be my home. And however, the surrounding neighbors, I just came back from Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan, that area is vitally important, not just to us, but to the world. And so we want to make sure that they get the attention that they deserve to.
From breakthroughs in technology and businesses to political developments and natural disasters, stay tuned as we bring you the latest updates, key developments, and more from New Delhi to New York. See you again tomorrow at the same time right here on Namaste World.